Hello and welcome to this new section on interconnectedness and the first lecture in this course, Systems Thinking. So in this section, we will give you an in-depth view of interconnectedness, and we will begin by talking about in this lecture an overview of how to understand the interconnections that are so crucial for predicting system outcomes and designing effective interventions, both of them. So, as we saw, it's a crucial thing, understanding interconnections, probably more important than simply understanding the connections or the components. So, so what are the things that you can do? Let's understand the whole process, the things that you need to do or that you can do to understand these interconnections within the system for predicting system outputs and designing the effective interventions. So the process starts with the familiar thing, that is identifying system components, and that we talked in great length in last section. Also in the last sections we covered how to map interconnections. We talked about interconnections as part of the holistic perspective. Also we talked about system thinking tools and analyzing feedback mechanisms. And we will quickly summarize these four things. And then the fifth step is a key thing again in understanding the connectedness, considering nonlinear dynamics that we will cover in great length, and so as exploring emergent properties, scenario analysis, and iteration and validation. So these are the kind of 8 steps or 8 things that you can need to do to understand the interconnectedness. So let's start quickly recapping the first four parts. So you need to begin by understanding the components or elements that make up the system that you are studying. And these could include, as we said earlier in the last section, tangible entities like physical objects, organizations, and individuals, as well as there are intangible factors like processes, information flows, and relationships. Now, we have covered this in a lot of detail, so I'm not going to spend any more time doing that. If you need, you can go back and look at the whole section, last section, and take a look at that. Then the second thing that we also covered in the last section was to map out the interconnection between the system components, between the direct, including the direct and indirect relationship. And there we need to consider how changes in one component can influence other components within the system, either uh, directly through direct interactions or through indirect interactions. And we covered this. Let me quickly summarize what we talked about, how to map these interactions. It starts again by identifying the potential causal paths, then analyzing the direct relationship, tracing indirect relationship, considering the mediating factors, utilize system thinking tools that we will cover again in the next slide, reviewing the existing knowledge to validate or invalidate your hypothesis, and collect data and evidence to validate and the test hypothesis and to predict the to consider the feedback mechanism. Then we also looked at in the last section how to use the system thinking tools. We looked at these three tools in significant detail: causal loop diagrams, influence diagrams, and stock and flow diagrams. If you need, you can go back and look at these system thinking tools. Also, we considered how to analyze feedback mechanisms where that can help us, identify the interactions. So there are two things that we talked about. We need to identify the positive loops that amplify changes and balancing feedback loops that stabilize the system or regulate its behavior. So, having summarized quickly the first 4 steps of understanding interconnectedness, what do we do next? We will look at one new thing that in a lot of detail is to consider the non-linear dynamics that can lead to a small output making a huge change, and that is what decides the leverage points as well as the intervention points. And that's what we will talk about. First, we'll see how to consider these non-linear dynamics, and then we will see how to use them. So thank you so much for watching the first lecture on interconnectedness. I hope you're beginning to learn new things again, beginning to enjoy. And I do look forward to see you again in the next lecture. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer a question. And also download the PDF file to take a look at anything that is of specific interest to you.